In the 1990s, McDonald's launched a massive marketing campaign in the United States called the Monopoly Game. During this campaign, each time you bought a meal, you would receive a ticket with a potential prize, such as electronics, cars, boats, or even cash prizes worth up to $1 million. This grand prize was the most attractive to customers. Despite the campaign being repeated annually, it was discovered that from 1989 to 2001, there was no legitimate winner of the grand prize. It was later revealed that a major fraud had been carried out by a man known as Uncle Jerry, who managed to steal over $25 million in prize money over 12 years. In this story, we will uncover how he did it, how he manipulated everyone without revealing his identity, and the possible connection between him and the mafia. Follow the story for more details and excitement. Hello, I'm William. The story begins at the Jacksonville office of the FBI in Florida, where they specialized in combating corruption and fraud, particularly in corporations. In 2001, they received a call from an anonymous person known as the informant, who reported manipulation in the contest organized by McDonald's. He gave them the names of 3 people who had won the $1 million prize in previous years and pointed out a familial connection between them despite different last names. After verification, it turned out that the winners were indeed related. The informant also mentioned a suspect known as Uncle Jerry as the mastermind. The FBI began investigating to confirm the validity of these claims, especially since the game had been running since 1987, with valuable prizes including meals, electronics, trips, cars, and the $1 million prize. The investigation revealed a fraud operation lasting 12 years, showing that there had been no real winner of the $1 million prize from 1989 to 2001. After contacting McDonald's management, they agreed to a meeting with 3 senior executives to discuss the problem. After the investigators explained that previous winners had won through illicit means, the executives agreed to cooperate in uncovering the matter. Although hesitant at first, they were convinced of the importance of following the new plan to expose the fraud and take necessary actions. A decision was made to coordinate with the board of directors to follow through with the plan and take the necessary measures. Some investigators from the FBI were sent, and a meeting was held with their directors at McDonald's headquarters. They agreed to launch a new Monopoly Game campaign to be monitored by the agency, and the person responsible for printing and distributing the game tickets from the external marketing company, Simon Marketing, was identified. The agency found a flaw in the system through Simon Marketing, which had successfully managed McDonald's marketing campaigns, including the Monopoly Game campaign, offering prizes worth up to $50 million, including the $1 million prize. After receiving certain tickets, customers could contact McDonald's to verify the prizes they had won. McDonald's and Simon Marketing collaborated to launch the new campaign, and a new $1 million winner was announced, Michael Hoover, who worked as a manager at a casino. The National Security Agency attempted to verify his identity but to no avail. A fake interview with the winner was proposed to inquire about how he won and his plans for using the prize, with approval from McDonald's senior management to carry it out. It was revealed that the prize system had been compromised and that previous winners had been committing fraud. After the marketing department had recovered from the shock, the investigators asked her to help connect with the lucky winner, Michael Hoover. They inquired about his feelings after winning the $1 million prize ticket, and he agreed to meet them happily and professionally. A suitable time was arranged, and the filming crew went to his home to record the event as part of the marketing campaign. The questions and answers were exchanged pleasantly, and Hoover shared a delightful and clever story about how he won the prize. While he was on the beach, he discovered he was covered in sand when he woke up. He got up, gathered his belongings, and headed to the water to wash himself. During this process, some of his items fell into the water, including a magazine he had with him. He had a magazine, as mentioned earlier, and McDonald's placed the tickets in some magazines as part of the marketing campaign. When it fell into the sea and he returned home, he saw the same magazine he had lost in a supermarket, so he decided to buy it again. When he opened the magazine, he found the $1 million ticket. Michael Hoover shared this story with the FBI, and after verifying his identity, they filmed him with the check. They then suggested he go to the beach to find the first magazine and later took him to the supermarket to buy the second magazine, filming him again to create a marketing story. In the end, they thanked him for his cooperation. After meeting with Michael Hoover, The investigators did not find any direct evidence against him, but they were optimistic that something might come up after this meeting. Indeed, half an hour after the FBI team left his house, the tennis team received a new call from him. Hoover was speaking with someone named AJ, confirming that they should believe everything he told them and recounting his story about losing the magazine and buying a new one without any complaints. During the call, he revealed that they were being recorded and monitored by the FBI. They then started looking for AJ, who turned out to be AJ Gump, a former drug dealer who had been in custody for a long time. He acted as an intermediary but was not the mastermind and always referred to Uncle Jerry. After providing the details to the FBI, it became clear that the person constantly mentioned was Mr. Jerry. He would answer calls and collect the tickets on certain days. It was important not to anger him as he regularly expressed dissatisfaction. After reviewing the call records, it was discovered that the frequently dialed number belonged to Mr. Jerry Jacobson, the security director at Simon Marketing. Upon tracking his movements, it was found that he was a former policeman who advanced in security due to his illness and got the position of security director at the company because of his previous experience. Of course, the FBI team would not immediately raid Simon Marketing and arrest Mr. Jerry. They first needed to verify the game's details and build a strong case against him. They needed to uncover how the winning tickets were stolen, so they asked McDonald's for help in understanding the company's procedures, printing, distribution of tickets, and security measures. It appeared that McDonald's management itself did not have these details, so one of the managers arranged a meeting with Simon Marketing to obtain the necessary details and present them to the FBI. The goal of this cooperation between the FBI and senior McDonald's officials was to gather all details and procedures related to the game to provide them to the FBI, confirming their seriousness and excellent security measures to protect the game. Regarding the company's printing process, Simon Marketing contracted with an external printing company called Dittler Brothers Printing. This printing company was considered one of the best in terms of security measures, with guards present around the clock, and anyone wishing to enter the printing facility had to be inspected before being allowed entry. They needed an entry card or permit, had to register their data, and sign in upon entry. All staff on duty daily also had to go through the same procedures. Additionally, anyone wishing to enter the printing area of the facility had to go through a secondary guard gate and obtain a special permit. Security devices and surveillance cameras were everywhere, and measures were tightened during the printing of important or high-priced tickets. The gate leading to the printing area was opened with different codes, and company representatives were present. Mr. Jerry, the security director at Simon Marketing, was one of the supervisors responsible for transporting the important tickets. He would place the tickets in a briefcase equipped with handcuffs in a lock requiring a secret code. An external accounting team accompanied him to ensure the safety of the operation. The tickets were transported using dedicated trucks sealed with special stickers. The stickers were then distributed to different cities across the United States for placement in boxes and envelopes under the supervision of Dittler Brothers Printing. Upon arriving at the workplace, Mr. Jerry would open the briefcase with the assistance of the accounting manager. The tickets were inspected and randomly distributed into envelopes. The tickets were displayed to customers to identify the winners, and the winning tickets were monitored with special movement and secret codes to prevent counterfeiting. Thanks to strict security measures, the tickets were protected from theft and tampering, and Mr. Jerry and his team proved their efficiency in ensuring the safety of the operation despite the challenges they faced. To uncover the secret more quickly, they needed to complete their own investigations. Certain individuals like Michael Hoover, Faye, Ton, AJ, Gump, and Uncle Jerry were described in a way that summarized each one's role in the operation. The investigators began identifying previous million-dollar winners, but all their attempts to gather new information failed. The investigators became convinced they needed a different approach, so they decided to reach out to previous winners by hosting a party in Las Vegas to lure them under the pretext of conducting marketing interviews. The winners were invited to enjoy a luxurious trip, including first-class airfare, stays in the finest hotels, and dining in the best restaurants, all sponsored by McDonald's as part of their marketing campaign. After most of the winners accepted the invitation, simple and pleasant interviews were organized with them. Buddy Fisher, one of the winners, appeared noticeably nervous during the interview as he was lying and trying to mislead the investigators and keep his secret by any means necessary. It was observed that Michael Hoover had a remarkable storytelling skill, while another candidate struggled to articulate his thoughts. He quickly apologized, stating that he was not used to cameras. Despite his inability to express himself clearly, He was the one who skillfully led the prize ticket distribution operation. He worked directly with Uncle Jerry and was responsible for distributing the tickets to the winners. He also provided significant assistance in distributing the tickets through his extensive network of contacts, as Uncle Jerry could not work alone. To ensure no familial connection among the winners, Uncle Jerry discovered that Jerry Colombo had a wide network of relationships both inside and outside the family and was the right person to distribute the tickets. They agreed to sell the tickets at $50,000 each to be handed over to the right people. It was confirmed that the $1 million prize from McDonald's would be awarded over 20 years, not as a lump sum payment. Annually, McDonald's would award the winner $50,000 until they reached $1 million. After that, the winner would be responsible for paying the taxes associated with the prize. When Uncle Jerry accepted the prize, he could receive $35,000 annually after tax deductions. Mr. Jerry sells various tickets with prizes such as cars, boats, and cash prizes of $10,000, $25,000, and $100,000. He sets the ticket prices based on the prize value and ease of redemption, sometimes pricing a car higher than a $1 million prize that requires a 20-year wait for full payment. When Jerry selects the winners, he takes half the prize value for a certain period, and this agreement can be negotiated based on his relationship with the person. If the winner agrees to the terms, Jerry gains control over the value and amount he takes from the winners. Jerry distributes the tickets to those closest to him and then extends his circle to include friends of friends and their family members, ensuring no obvious familial connections between the winners to maintain the appearance of fairness. His wife, Robin, noticed that he always preferred to choose white men from nearly the same area. She then said to him, "I have a suggestion that might work for you." He asked, "What is it?" She replied, "I have a friend named Gloria Brown who lives in Florida with her young son and is in difficult circumstances." Robin then introduced her friend, Gloria, to this opportunity in exchange for half the prize value over 5 years. Jerry Colombo offered this chance to Gloria, explaining the terms professionally. Initially, Gloria rejected the offer but accepted it after some thought, planning to contact him privately. However, there was a mandatory condition to pay an upfront amount of $500,000. Despite her hesitation and confusion, she decided to take a loan and mortgage her house to meet Jerry's demand and complete the deal. During their meeting, Gloria received the money and handed it over to Jerry after successfully completing the transaction, which was the toughest decision she had ever made. Jerry promised to send the ticket after receiving the payment as agreed. Jerry Colombo watched her attentively, his eyes fixed on her, indicating that she had made a grave mistake by handing over a large sum of money to a stranger without receiving anything in return. It appeared that there were many people who could be easily deceived. Fortunately for Jerry, it was beneficial to return to her so she could win the $1 million prize. A few days later, he brought her the $1 million ticket and took her to a McDonald's branch. He instructed her to hand the ticket to the employees there, and after verifying it, they announced her as the winner. When she received the first payment of $50,000, Jerry went to her and took half of it, $25,000, noting that this amount included taxes. Thus, out of the $50,000 she received, she paid about $15,000 in taxes and gave Jerry Colombo $25,000, leaving her with only $10,000. This continued in the same manner. You might say, what's the problem? She earned $10,000, and there's nothing to lose. The problem was that she had taken out a loan that needed to be repaid, and the loan consumed the remaining $10,000. Additionally, there were interest charges on the loan amount. This meant that Gloria was actually losing money in the first few years, a fact she hadn't fully grasped. She said she struggled just to survive and succeed during this period with her son. The story encapsulates Gloria's life, which improved after she stopped living in poverty. On the other hand, Jerry Colombo quickly profited from her wealth and that of many other winners. Jerry began amassing large sums of money, becoming wealthy, and indulging in extravagant spending on himself and his family. He also started pursuing his desires and doing whatever he pleased without considering the consequences. One time, during a flight, Jerry met a flight attendant named Lee Casano at the counter. Lee, also of Italian descent, caught Jerry's eye, and they started talking and flirting. This relationship continued, and they began an affair, spending money on each other and buying expensive items. This relationship lasted several months, during which Jerry gave her a winning McDonald's ticket worth $100,000. She presented the ticket to McDonald's, and they issued her a check for $100,000. When she went to cash the check at the bank, Jerry was waiting for her and took the money, promising to pay some people their share and then return the rest to her. Lee was frightened because she was responsible for receiving the amount and had to pay around $3,000 in taxes. Jerry took the entire amount, and Lee's initial anxiety doubled as Jerry started to ignore her demands and evade her. She repeatedly called him to ask about the money and taxes, and he kept saying, later. Their relationship deteriorated, and one day, Jerry's wife overheard the conversation. She stormed in, took the phone, and started yelling at both Lee and Jerry, threatening to call the police and expose him. From then on, their relationship worsened, and the problems between them increased. Despite having a child together, this wasn't enough for Robin to leave Jerry or escalate the situation by exposing him. Jerry Colombo then embarked on a different venture, trying to open a nightclub. He brought in girls and dancers and faced multiple attempts by the government to shut it down. Each time, he tried reopening it under a different name or guise. He even registered the nightclub as a church to manipulate the laws. Jerry appeared on TV several times, talking about his story, receiving criticism from callers for operating a church-like strip club. Even Uncle Jerry was displeased with this media exposure, fearing it could jeopardize their business, despite it being a separate issue. This further strained Jerry Colombo's relationship with his wife. She said to him, "You're trafficking girls and dancers. I know your intentions and what you're doing behind my back." Imagine one day, while driving with their young son asleep in the backseat, they started arguing about the same issues. Suddenly, the child woke up and screamed. Amid the chaos, an accident occurred, and Robin crashed into a truck. The ambulance and police arrived, and although Robin and the child suffered minor injuries, Jerry Colombo, due to his large size, sustained severe injuries and internal bleeding, leading to his death in the ICU after a few days. The accident investigation began in 2001, and perhaps his death was a relief for many winners like Gloria Brown, who had been paying him their share annually. However, his secret mistress, the flight attendant, was one of the most affected, no longer receiving money and now owing $3,000 in taxes. Jerry Colombo's family members, particularly his brother Frank Colombo and his mother, Ma Colombo, were furious with Robin. Some even blamed her for the accident, citing the ongoing issues between them. Robin denied these accusations, severed ties with them, and took her son, despite Ma Colombo's objections and her desire to take the boy. Fortunately for Robin, Ma Colombo was embroiled in other legal issues, including drug and check fraud cases. After Jerry's death, their home was robbed, with all furniture, belongings, and jewelry stolen. It's still unknown who exactly the thief was, but being a mafia man, Jerry Colombo had many enemies lying in wait. Robin refused to live a life lesser than what she had with her husband, so she resorted to fraud, trying to cash bad checks, and even got involved in drug trafficking. Eventually, she was caught and imprisoned, and the child went to live with his grandmother, as she had wished. You might wonder how these details relate to the story and where we were headed. Trust me, these details are crucial to the narrative, so please stay tuned, and we will return to them later. Now, let's get back to Uncle Jerry. After Jerry Colombo's death in 1988, they lost their most important mediator and distributor. They had worked together for over 8 years, but now they needed new intermediaries to distribute the tickets. One of the intermediaries they found was a person named AJ Glom. This is the same person who gave the ticket to Michael Hoover, the first winner we saw in the video. AJ had a criminal record and was a former inmate, convicted of drug trafficking. After working as a small-time dealer, he found himself facing charges that led to a 12-year prison sentence. When he got out, a friend who knew Mr. Jerry offered him a job opportunity. He immediately accepted the offer, despite just getting out of prison. Thanks to his hard work and diligence, he quickly became one of the biggest intermediaries and distributors Mr. Jerry used. However, Dwight Baker was not the only intermediary. Through listening to phone calls, the FBI learned of another intermediary named Dwight Baker. Dwight met Uncle Jerry through his work in construction. Jerry was a contractor and had presumably built a house or a farm for Uncle Jerry. They got to know each other, and their relationship strengthened. Eventually, Jerry offered Dwight a $1 million ticket, but the price was $100,000 upfront. Dwight Baker didn't have that amount, so he said to Jerry, "I don't have $100,000, but I think I know someone who might." Jerry replied, "It's up to you, but the important thing is that it's a trustworthy person." Dwight Baker responded, "Don't worry, this person is trustworthy and close to me." Dwight Baker went to his adopted son, who wasn't his biological son but was raised by him, named George Chandler. George was a successful trader and investor and had wealth. When Dwight Baker approached him, he said, "Look, son, I have a great opportunity for you." George Chandler replied, "Tell me," Dwight said. "I have a friend going through a divorce who won $1 million McDonald's ticket. He doesn't want to cash the ticket because his wife might claim half the prize and wants to sell it for $100,000. In the United States, during a divorce, half of the properties and money are divided between the spouses, even if the husband is the sole breadwinner. After the divorce, the wife gets half of what the husband owns, so Dwight Baker indirectly told his son that he was selling the tickets. This person who was going through a divorce wanted $100,000 in cash. George saw this as a good and profitable deal, deciding to wait 20 years to get the full amount, despite having to pay high taxes. But within 3 or 4 years, he would recoup the amount he had given and start making a profit. Thus, George Chandler agreed to the deal and indeed became the new millionaire. There was no hidden agenda behind this ticket, as he would not take any money or percentage from his son. However, the money they saw attracted them, and they started working as intermediaries for Uncle Jerry, bringing in people and selling them the tickets. As a contractor, Dwight Baker had a network of acquaintances with purchasing power to buy the tickets. Of course, the FBI learned about Dwight Baker through the advertisements and started tapping his calls. Through these calls, they learned that a meeting would be happening soon. They arranged a sting operation and filmed them meeting in a parking lot to exchange money and tickets. The sting was executed solely for recording purposes, and the footage was added to the evidence gathered by the federal police after a thorough investigation. They felt relieved as they had collected enough evidence to build a strong case against the defendants, including Uncle Jerry. They identified all the parties and individuals involved in the fraud scheme, and everything became almost entirely clear to them. The only unclear aspect was how Uncle Jerry stole the tickets despite the security measures. However, that wasn't crucial to the case, as the evidence was sufficient to prosecute him and obtain confessions. The arrests began on August 21, 2001, with 8 individuals taken into custody, including Uncle Jerry, intermediaries, winners, and Dwight Baker. Some investigators were sent to question them at their homes. This was coordinated among various FBI offices in different states. The case was revealed in the media, causing a massive stir, with the names and photos of those involved, including Uncle Jerry, being published. Jerry hired a powerful lawyer to defend him. McDonald's issued an official apology to customers, announced they would take responsibility, and promised to rectify the situation, terminating their contracts. The company experienced a sudden collapse, with its stock price plummeting from $100 to 50 cents in a single day, described as the largest single-day stock collapse for a company. The Deitel Brothers printing press, which handled the company's printing, was raided and all possible evidence was seized. After the case, the printing press was shut down and collapsed. Uncle Jerry's lawyer refused to cooperate with the prosecution unless there was a deal. It was agreed to reduce the sentence in exchange for Uncle Jerry's full cooperation and disclosure of all details and involved individuals. It was revealed how Uncle Jerry stole and distributed the tickets. He carried the important tickets in a locked bag, with half of the code held by the accountant. After obtaining the tickets from the printing press, Uncle Jerry and the accountant would fly to other cities to distribute them. Uncle Jerry used special stamps from Simon Company to reseal the envelopes after opening them, making it unnoticeable and appearing untouched. This way, Uncle Jerry could easily deal with the stickers without the accountant noticing or suspecting anything. No one had noticed Uncle Jerry's scheme for the past 12 years. According to him, he obtained these stickers because he was mistakenly fired from Simon Company, and the stickers were included. There were many doubts about his story, but no one could prove he was lying. I believe he likely obtained the stickers from someone else within the company and fabricated the firing story to protect that person. After switching the tickets in the bathroom, Uncle Jerry continued his trip with the accountant and visited factories making boxes and envelopes, sticking the tickets in front of Simon Company and Deitel Brothers printing press observers. 53 people were accused of buying the tickets, and many of them pleaded guilty. George Chandler was acquitted in 2004 after being accused of buying a stolen ticket. The remaining winners were placed under house arrest for 1 or 2 years. Additionally, the court ordered the return of all previously withdrawn funds, and if the amount wasn't available, the defendants had to continue making monthly payments to avoid prison, instead being placed under house arrest with substantial monthly installments. the charges were mitigated due to the lack of knowledge about the source of the credit cards used. Although Uncle Jerry was the only one in prison for this case, he cooperated with the prosecution and was sentenced to just 3 years in prison.